Guys, in this next news story, it's coming from Lancashire ways, and a gang who shared pictures of their stock and earnings on social media have been jailed for more than 20 years. The gang was led by the kingpin Junaid Khan, and he posted pictures of cannabis buds, drugs being weighed out on a coffee table in the living room, and large wads of cash with the caption, "Money talks, baby." They also posted pictures of different strains of weed, captioning 1010, as well as large lump of coke placed on a £20 note. The sentences for Khan and other members of the gang follow on from Lancashire Police's Operation King, an investigation into drug supply in the Burnley and Bradford areas being run by the Khan family. The operation was headed up by Junaid Khan, who was already serving a prison sentence for drugs offences. The case follows the execution of a drugs warrant in October last year at the home address of the Khans, where cannabis and coke were recovered along with phones and cash. Officers were able to assess the phones which unearthed drug dealing on a large scale across Burnley and Bradford. Police also found evidence that one of the group started dealing when he was just 14 years old. Members of the group were jailed at Preston Crown Court this week. Junaid Khan, he got 8 years and 9 months. You got Musa Khan, who got 1 year and 6 months. You got Trevor Smith, got 3 years and 9 months. Azim Rafiq got 7 years. Keely Glover got a community order. And the 16-year-old is going to be sentenced at a later date. Detective Sergeant Stu Peel from Lancashire Police's East Exploitation Team said, "We will continue to crack down on those involved in drug supply in our communities and who prey on the vulnerable for their own greed." Said, "I hope that seeing these sentences encourages people to continue to report suspicious activity." And in this next news story, a boxer who fatally punched a man so hard it caused him to break several ribs and rupture his spleen has been sentenced to over 14 years in prison. Daniel Alsop was viciously assaulted by Marley Rice in Blackpool at around R4 in the afternoon last year. The victim had travelled intending to buy drugs, but once he arrived, Wright attacked him before chasing him away. Shortly after, Mr. Alsop collapsed in the doorway of a nearby McDonald's restaurant and was rushed to hospital. Just want to say rest in peace, Daniel. My condolences go out to your family. He succumbed to his injuries 2 days later, and 4 days afterwards, Wright was apprehended in Blackpool. Police searched his vehicle and residence, discovering a large quantity of crack with an estimated street value exceeding £3,000, and he had more than £7,000 in cash. They also found 2 phones containing evidence of heroin and crack sales. As he was being escorted through the police station, Wright discarded 24 individual wraps of crack on the floor. During his police interview under caution, he chose to remain silent, and following a 2-week trial at Preston Crown Court last month, Wright was acquitted of murder, but the jury unanimously convicted him of the lesser charge of manslaughter. He was convicted today of 3 counts of possessing Class A drugs with intent to supply, 2 counts of being concerned with the supply of Class A drugs, a count of possession of criminal property, and was sentenced to 9 years for manslaughter and an additional 5.5 years for the drugs offences. The honorary recorder, Judge Robert Altham, stated this was an attack by someone who was a powerful athlete, even by the standards of a boxer had a powerful punch. He said, "You attacked a 10.5 stone man who was addicted to drugs, and the force used was considerable, and there was more than one blow." Daniel's family shared their sorrow. They said, "We lost a son, dad, brother, grandson, uncle, nephew, and cousin. He passed peacefully surrounded by his immediate family. He will be greatly missed by all who knew and loved him." Detective Chief Inspector Jill Riley of Lancashire Police Force's Major Investigation Team said, "My thoughts and sympathies remain with Daniel's family at this incredibly upsetting and difficult time. They have lost a family member, and Wright, a former boxer, fatally injured Daniel in a serious and unprovoked attack, and his actions that day showed a shocking level of violence and brutality." And in this next news story, a teenager who stabbed a father of 2 to death on Christmas Day has been jailed for at least 19 years. Kershawn Dockeray Barnett, who was 17 at the time, murdered 29-year-old Reese Connor following a disagreement between the two of them in an underpass in Nottingham. A trial at Nottingham Crown Court heard the two of them had not known each other before the altercation. Despite this, Dockeray Barnett decided to take revenge by confronting him a short time later. Dakari Barnett was convicted of murder and given a life sentence. Judge Nirmal Chand Casey told him he must serve a minimum of 19 years before he is eligible to apply for parole. He said, "You have deprived his partner of the love she had known since she was 13 years old, and you have deprived two boys of their father. She and they had to learn of the devastating news on Boxing Day, which should have been a day of family togetherness." The trial heard the murder happened in Wallerton on the evening of 25th December 2023. The two men had come face to face in the Crown Island underpass, having entered from opposite ends. They both left following their disagreement, but Mr. Connor returned to the area a short time later. By this time, Dakari Barnett had asked friends to come to the scene. This included his foster cousin, who went on trial accused of murder but was cleared by the jury. The defendant had claimed he stabbed his victim in self-defense. The judge described the claim that the victim himself picked up the knife after finding it in a bush as nothing short of a fantasy. She said, "I can be sure that you took the knife to the scene intending to use it as a weapon, and on your own account you used it in a manner which killed." The trial previously heard Mr. Connor died from a single stab wound to the chest. Mr. Connor's partner read out a statement during the sentencing hearing in which she described him as a dedicated father. She said, "We had two beautiful boys. He was such a good father to them both. He's very hands-on and will make time for them even after doing 12-hour shifts. The children will grow up with a different perspective on Christmas. I'm dreading Christmas time this year, so much so I feel like leaving the country as I can't face it." Speaking about her children, she said, "I'm dreading the day when they ask, 'Where's Dad?' Questions no parent should have to answer." The judge said the most important feature in mitigation was the defendant's age, and she took into account Dakari Barnett's difficult childhood, which included going into foster care after seeing his mother being a victim of DV. The judge said, "It is right to say your background has been the most difficult background. You have witnessed violence from a young age and you experienced the care system." Following the sentencing, Detective Inspector Claire Gibson of Nottinghamshire Police said this was a tragic case that cost a man a life and robbed two young boys of their father. Said, "We may never know what happened between these two men in the nearby underpass, but it certainly didn't justify the appalling violence that followed. As this case comes to a close, my thoughts and those of the many detectives involved remain Reese's family and friends." I just want to say rest in peace, Reese, and my condolences go out to your family. So guys, there's a number of news stories coming out the streets of the UK. Once again, if you already haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. Please give this video a little like and also drop a comment as well, and I'll respond back to you. Big respect going out to each and every one of you. It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.